Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness. And I want to give you a scenario. Let's say that I'm sure when you were younger, you may not remember this, but you've probably seen it with kids. Why did you hit me? Well, if you didn't make me mad. And so we'll push back our attack or the cause of our attack onto somebody else. But I want to make it very, very plain and simple. The world may seem to cause us pain, but ultimately the world is causeless. It has no power to cause. And as an effect, it has no way to make its own effects because it's not a cause. And so you might say, what did you just say to me? But think about it in this way. The ultimate cause only comes from what you do. And the world we see is the result of the actions and thinking that we're taking place or having happen within our own mind. And so if I see the world through rose-colored glasses like they talk about, I see the world as this amazing place. It's filled with beauty and love and peace and joy. And yet everybody else might look around and say, are you kidding me? This world is pretty crappy. There's so much stuff happening right now that I'm just in constant state of fear and worry and panic. Yet every night I go to sleep and I sleep rather well. And so why does it look so different from my perspective than it does from your perspective? And the ultimate answer is the one that gives you all your power back to realize what I have realized, that I am the cause of everything that happens around me. And that cause is, the ultimate cause of everything is, and I've talked about this in other podcasts, is more appropriate to say that it is God that is the cause. But He created us in His image and His likeness as co-creators with Him. So we now kind of represent that cause. Ultimately, though, we are His effect. He caused us to come into existence by creating us. And now everything we do, He's technically responsible for. And we could say, well, that's kind of a cop-out. But ultimately, if you have limited information, can you make good decisions about that information that you don't possess? You can't. And so let's say that I ask you to make something, though you haven't been fully trained at what it is, and so you make something that kind of falls apart, and now I blame you for it. But I never gave you all the information you needed that you could use to make the right decisions to make the thing you're trying to make. And so now all of a sudden you feel kind of helpless because you weren't given the right information. You feel kind of angry about that. And so now you attack me back because you didn't like the feeling of that. And so we'll have a lot of people out there attacking God because that's a kind of an innate, intuitive sense that we have. Look, I didn't have all the information. So how can you punish me when I don't even know what's truly right and what's truly wrong? And God, who knows everything, understands that implicitly. That's why, the Bible talks about when you turn and realize and give forgiveness and blanket it over the world, but also include yourself into that equation, He doesn't remember anything you did here. He knows that everything you did is without all the information you could possibly have, because He knows that if you had all the information, you'd have made the right decision. Anybody who's operating out there in fear and anger and worry and aggression, they don't have all the information. They're living in a lack of information environment, because if they did understand everything, if they knew who they were through and through and that they were integrally connected to each one of us, they would never attack another individual. But we have people attacking people all the time. Now, I give a physical example, but now that we're adults, we don't physically attack people all the time. We attack them with our words. And we know just what to say to the people around us that can really, really irritate them. But I'm I'm on the opposite side, because when somebody says something to me that really inflames me and gets me riled, I always think, wow, I totally gave up my power to that individual, and now they actually totally derailed me. But it was me who derailed me, not them. But something they said I haven't corrected in my thinking process within my own mind. So whenever I see an emotional response within my own mind and body, I immediately throw up the red flag and say, whoa, time out. What's going on inside my head? What's happened? Because I don't like giving up my power to somebody else, and now they're pulling my strings. I don't want anybody to have that kind of authority around me. And so I make sure that I ferret out whatever it is that I reacted to, fix it so that cannot happen again. That's peace, and that's peace of mind, but that's what I want. So those of you out there listening to this, man, does my so-and-so need to hear this? Well, that may be true, and you can certainly have them listen to it, but ultimately, as you wrap your mind around it first, it inevitably will start showing up in your environment where you have more peace around you, more love around you, more happiness, more joy. Those are the things that are the outward fruit, if you will, of what you should be seeing inside you. So you must go back to your own mind and thinking first, because we'll forgive everybody else, but we rarely forgive ourselves. And forgiveness of the self is usually the last thing that you do. But once it's done, man, have you just achieved some tremendous peace and joy in your life. And so that is the progression. So we want to understand that, yes, the world does not cause anything. It is us who causes everything about our thinking. And since we have that ability, we want to foster that ability by really forgiving everything that we thought we did. And that, you know what? This is a no-fault life. And we can start forgiving things. So we have Jesus walking around forgiving people of their sins and them thinking, oh my gosh, I am free now. I am truly free because I understand the truth. That is how the truth sets you free, because you realize that all of your past is forgiven. It's as if it never happened. You now can walk in the innocence with which you were created and as God knows you. And so some of you out there that keep pointing at sin, you know what? The Bible's pretty clear. None of that's going to be remembered. And Jesus wouldn't have told people to go and sin no more if it wasn't possible. And if it wasn't the individual that chose to do it, that was the cause. God is not the cause of those things. Once he gave us his full power, which he did, we now could sit at cause. So I'm inviting you to be at cause from here on out in your life and everything that happens in it, to realize that you had a hand in. How can I make it different? How can I see the situation differently? Because that's what opens it up to the miracle of change and purifying that moment into something spectacularly beautiful, rather than the hell that this world appears to be right now. So, cause and effect. Why does the world look like it looks like to me? Because you give it all the meaning that you have. And so we want you to start filtering that meaning a little differently and start letting go of your judgments, your persecutions, your vengeance, and softening up and giving those away back to the Spirit, back to God, because he understands what everything is and what everything's doing. And he knows that you cannot possibly understand how to merit out vengeance if you ever actually tried. But when you realize that your innocence guarantees all your brother's innocence, vengeance becomes irrelevant. And so that's kind of the ending punchline, really. And so I hope that kind of sheds some light. It may have muddied the waters a little bit. If it did, please message me, email me. It'll be on after this. I would love to hear from you. Maybe you completely disagree and you want to battle and have some words. I'm totally open to that too. You cannot offend me. Let's talk it out. Let's do our due diligence to sharpen each other. But in that respect, you'll find my words be pretty peaceful to you. If you're reading something into those words, man, definitely shoot it back and let's talk about it. So until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Dr. Munson at 360-893-8586 or email him at chiroman@dr.com. That's CHIROMAN at dr.com. Check out our current workshop schedule on Facebook at Infinity Whole Health.